Okay guys, my inspiration for this video is, I would say, Daniela. Yesterday she worked her ass off, and thank you so much for that, Daniela. And I noticed that she got stuck on special right triangles. So I said, why not do another video? We're gonna try it one more time here. Okay. So let's get started. Here we go. Now guys, there's only two special right triangles in the whole world, okay? There's the 30, 60, 90. So if you just look over here to the right, if I have a 30-degree angle up here, a 60-degree angle here, and a 90-degree angle there, you will notice a 30, 60, 90 always has three different sides. It has the short side down here, okay? Let's say the short side is some length x. Well, the longest side is going to be the hypotenuse. That's always 2 times whatever x is. And then finally, there's that medium side over here. It's always opposite the 60, by the way. And that medium side's always square root 3 times the x. And these ratios, guys, works every time for 30, 60, 90. So, when you look at the first problem here, and again, what we're doing is special right triangles here. All right. Here's a 30 up here. This is my short side. This right here is my hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always 2 times the short side. So the short side must be 6, right? Because 2 times 6 is 12. It's that simple on some of these. Okay? On this one right here, this time they give you the short side. If they're asking for the long side, isn't it going to be 2 times the short side? The short side again is 2. So 2 times 2 means the long hypotenuse side must be 4. If they ask me the medium side over here, by the way, I would just simply take 2 times the square root of 3. In other words, the short side times the square root of 3. And that side's done. All right. Now, this is the only ones that they gave us that was 45, 45, 90. Now, guys, a 45, 45, 90 is a little bit simpler because these two sides have to be the same. All right. It's really two sides of a square. So let's say that was 7, that's 7. And the hypotenuse has to be 7 times the square root of 2. So with a 45, it's you times the long side by square root of 2. With a 30, 60, 90, you times the medium side by square root of 3. And with practice, you'll memorize that, but you got to practice it. Now, this one actually mathematically is pretty tough because they gave us the long side, the hypotenuse. And remember, the hypotenuse is always the short side times the square root of 2. So as you can see, I just basically made up a little equation there. Again, the hypotenuse on a 45 is always the short sides, which are the same, times the square root of 2. In other words, the square root 2 times longer. So how do I solve this? Is I got to divide both sides by square root 2. And there's my answer, except it needs to be rationalized. So I'm going to times it by square root 2 over square root 2. I'm going to get 6 square root of 2 over square root of 4, remember, is 2. See, we got rid of the radical in the denominator. Now, what is 6 square root 2 divided by 2? It's simply 3 square root of 2. So both of these sides are 3 square roots of 2. All I did was take the 6 divided by the 2. I got 3 square roots of 2. All right, let's go back to the 30, 60, 90. Guys, they gave us the longest side, the hypotenuse. What about the short side? Isn't the short side going to be, in this case, 4 square roots of 3 divided by 2? The short side is always half as big. What's 4 divided by 2? 2 square roots of 3. So now, can we find the medium side? Is the medium side going to be the short side times with the square root of 3? And what's square root 3 times square root 3? Square root 9, which is 3. And 2 times 3 means this side is 6. So that, again, was one of the tougher ones. But guys, you have to practice them to get good at them. All right. Oh, another 45. Look how simple this one is. That side 7, that side 7, because they have to be the same. What about the long side, the hypotenuse? It's simply 7 times the square root of 2. I can't believe I actually did that one as an example in the previous problem. But it's simple as that. Guys, look. Let's say this was 12. Then this would be 12, and this would be 12 square roots of 2. Get it? Let's say this side was 100. This side would have to be 100. And the longest side here would have to be 100 times the square root of 2. It's really that simple on some of these. Okay? All right. Back to the 3690. This is one of the tougher ones again. They gave us the medium side. Remember, the medium side is the short side, let's call it y, times the square root of 3. The medium side is always square root 3 times bigger the short side. So we have a little equation here. If y square root of 3 equals 18, let's divide by square root 3. Y, which is the short side, is 18 divided by square root 3. Oh, we got to rationalize it. Let's times it by square root 3 over square root 3. That means we get 18 square root 3 over, this hopefully you know is square root 9, which is 3. And 18 divided by 3 is 6. So I have here 6 square roots of 3 for the short side. And now, how do I find the longest side? Remember, the longest side is simply the short side, i.e. 6 square root of 3, times 2. And 2 times 6 means x there must be 12 square roots of 3. So again, what did I do? I knew the medium side had to be times square root 3. I had to divide by square root 3 to get the medium, or the short side, which I did right there. And then finally, the longest side is always times 2. All right. Oh, we're done, guys. As you can see, I was a perfect 7 out of 7. So I'll make sure that was in the video again. Guys, let me just remind you that you ought to not only do this once. I did reassign it to you, by the way. Remember, if you do it there, then it automatically should give you credit for the other one. Either way, you'll get credit. You don't have to do it twice. But I recommend you do it more than once for the practice. Get good at the square root of 3, the square root of 2, dividing and rationalizing by the square root of 3 and the square root of 2 when you have to. Okay? Bottom line, you got to know the 30, 60, 90. You got to know this 45, 45, 90. Practice, practice, practice these, guys. Trust me, you're going to want to know these really well. See you around.